August 27, 2025. The West Philippine Sea shimmers under the sun, but tension overshadows the beauty. A Filipino fishing boat, FB Gemver, faces down a massive China Coast Guard vessel, horns blare. Filipino fishermen, heirs to generations at sea, watch as their nets, and their future, hang in the balance. This standoff is just one flashpoint in a much larger struggle. The Philippines is caught between two major disputes. Media, map animation highlighting Philippine territorial disputes, news footage of maritime boundaries, Philippine diplomats in discussion. To the west, the South China Sea, where China's sweeping claims clash with Manila's rights. To the southwest, the long-standing Sabah dispute with Malaysia. The South China Sea is about more than fish. It's about sovereignty, national pride, and control of vital shipping lanes. Every encounter, from water cannon blasts to diplomatic protests, raises the stakes for regional stability. Meanwhile, the Sabah issue, rooted in the legacy of the Sultanate of Sulu, complicates relations with Malaysia and within ASEAN. For Filipinos, these disputes are not distant politics. They impact livelihoods, stir nationalism, and force tough choices for leaders. The world is watching as the Philippines navigates these treacherous waters. The decisions made today will shape Southeast Asia's security and prosperity for decades. The nation stands at the epicenter of a geopolitical storm, its sovereignty tested on multiple fronts. As Manila, Beijing, and Kuala Lumpur maneuver, the meaning of sovereignty in the 21st century is being redefined. The stakes are high and the outcome is uncertain. The Philippines must chart its course between defiance and diplomacy, survival and pride. The Philippines' main maritime dispute is with China over the South China Sea, known locally as the West Philippine Sea. This region is a strategic maritime corridor and a potential goldmine of oil, gas, and fish. China's 9-line claim overlaps with the exclusive economic zones of the Philippines and other Southeast Asian nations. The Philippines relies on UNCLOS, which grants a 200 nautical mile exclusive economic zone. China, however, asserts historic rights leading to constant Chinese presence in Filipino waters. The Sabah dispute with Malaysia is older, rooted in an 1878 agreement with the Sultanate of Sulu. The crux was Sabah leased or ceded. The Philippines says lease, Malaysia says cession. While less explosive than the South China Sea, the Sabah issue remains a sensitive, unresolved matter. Both disputes complicate Manila's foreign policy and regional relationships. These are not just legal battles, they're about history, resources, and national identity. The West Philippine Sea tensions have deep roots. The 2012 Scarborough Shoal standoff was a turning point. China seized control after a tense standoff, barring Filipino fishermen. This loss spurred Manila to seek international arbitration, shifting the fight from sea to court. The Sabah dispute's roots go back to the 19th century Sultanate of Sulu and a controversial agreement with the British. In 2013, the Lahad Datu standoff erupted when followers of the Sulu Sultanate tried to reclaim Sabah, leading to violence and strained ties with Malaysia. These incidents show how old grievances can spark modern crises. The disputes are fueled by history, pride, and the struggle for resources. For the Philippines, each standoff is a reminder. Unresolved history can have real, sometimes tragic consequences. The past is never far from the present in these contested waters and lands. The stakes are not just diplomatic, they're deeply personal and national. The legacy of these disputes continues to shape the region's future. The Philippines' legal challenge against China was a bold move. In 2016, the Hague Tribunal ruled overwhelmingly in Manila's favor, invalidating China's 9-line and affirming Philippine rights. But China rejected the ruling outright, intensifying its activities and building military outposts in disputed waters. Filipino fishermen still face harassment, and Chinese ships patrol as if nothing changed. The legal victory gave the Philippines moral and diplomatic leverage, but no enforcement power. The world recognized the ruling, but on the water, China's might prevails. This gap between law and reality defines the current standoff. The Philippines won on paper but struggles to assert its rights at sea. The question remains: how can smaller nations enforce international law when powerful states refuse to comply? The answer is still unfolding in the West Philippine Sea. The legal battle is far from over. The Philippines continues to fight for its rights, against the odds. For many Filipinos, these disputes are about survival, not strategy. Fishermen in provinces like Zambales and Palawan once thrived in the West Philippine Sea. Now they face harassment, blocked access, and even water cannon attacks from Chinese vessels. Trips are riskier and less profitable, some return empty-handed, others don't go at all. The economic toll is severe, families fall into debt, and communities face poverty. Beyond money, there's a deep sense of loss and helplessness. The sea is part of their identity, now out of reach. Government patrols and NGO aid offer some help, but can't solve the core problem. Fishermen want their rights restored, not handouts. Their struggle is the human face of the territorial conflict. Each day at sea is a test of courage and resilience. The fight for the West Philippine Sea is also a fight for dignity and survival. Ordinary lives are caught in the crossfire of giants. Philippine foreign policy has swung between confrontation and conciliation depending on who's in charge. President Aquino took China to court, rallying international support but straining ties with Beijing. President Duterte reversed course, downplaying disputes and courting Chinese investment, even setting aside the Hague ruling. This pragmatic approach unsettled traditional allies like the US President Marcos Jr. has since shifted back, reaffirming the Hague ruling and strengthening alliances, especially with the US joint military exercises and expanded US access to Philippine bases, signal a tougher stance. The Sabah claim, meanwhile, is maintained but rarely pushed to avoid conflict with Malaysia and preserve ASEAN unity. Each administration walks a tightrope, balancing sovereignty, security, and economic needs. The Philippines must navigate between defiance and diplomacy, always aware of its powerful neighbors. The nation's foreign policy remains a delicate balancing act. The stakes, national pride, security, and the future of the region. The choices made in Manila echo far beyond its shores. The Philippines and Southeast Asia stand at a crossroads. One path is diplomacy, a binding code of conduct for the South China Sea, joint resource development, and peaceful coexistence. Another is escalation. A single misstep could trigger conflict, drawing in global powers and threatening regional stability. The third path is alliance building. The Philippines deepens ties with the US, Japan, Australia, and others to counterbalance China. This network aims to deter aggression and uphold a rules-based order. The future depends on choices made in Manila, Beijing, Washington, and beyond. For the Philippines, the challenge is immense, defending sovereignty while avoiding catastrophe. The world watches, hoping for peace and respect for international law. The outcome will define not just the Philippines, but the global order. The stakes are high and the next chapter is unwritten. The Philippines' journey through this storm will shape the region for generations.